Welcome back to State of the Union. I'm Dana Bash. A bipartisan group of governors wrote President Biden this week to fix the confusion over the vaccine rollout to states. Despite coronavirus cases actually declining nationwide and vaccine distribution improving, states are saying more communication with the federal government, which is a problem going back to the Trump White House, could get even more shots in arms faster. Joining me now is one of the governors who signed that letter to Biden, Republican Asa Hutchinson of Arkansas. Governor, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I want to start with that letter to the president. Last month, you called the vaccine distribution process under Biden seamless. Has that changed?
No, it's been a seamless handoff. They've taken the ball. They've been able, because of increased production, to increase the manufacturing and the allocation to the states on our doses. What we meant by that letter is the governors want to be held accountable, and we want to be responsible for getting these vaccines out, but we're setting up multiple programs right now. We're setting up the state program, and then there's some federal programs that are going side by side with that. And we were sending the signal that as you have increased allocation, give it to the states, we'll get it out, we'll get it in the arms of people. We have the same commitment, and it's easier to coordinate that way. But we have a very good working relationship with the White House. I expect us to work through these issues, and we're going to continue to increase getting those doses out.
So the House of Representatives is set to vote on President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief package this week. Could you use the help? And do you think Arkansas representatives in Washington should vote yes?
Well, first of all, I think the president has missed an opportunity to have bipartisan support for this bill. I don't think it's the right strategy to ram that through on a party line vote. I think that everybody recognizes the urgent need for a stimulus package for relief to the states. That's what the governors support. But it's a fair debate as to what's included in that bill and how much debt we're going to put on our children for the future. And it's a very expensive bill at $1.9 trillion. I read the bill last night, 590 pages, that covers everything from the arts to food for peace programs. And it really looks like it just took all the federal programs, enhanced their budget. It needs to be more targeted. And so we need that relief. We need to enact. But my message is that I would have preferred it to be done in a bipartisan way. And I think that it could be trimmed back. And I think that's important. And when Americans say they want that and they support it, absolutely, because we do need that, whether it's in Texas or in Arkansas, we need it. But it's fair to bring in broader support for that.
The debate over the direction of your party, Governor, took a personal angle for you this week. Arkansas State Senator Jim Hendren, who was your nephew, announced that he's leaving because of the GOP's embrace of Donald Trump, and he pointed specifically to the insurrection on January 6th. I want to play for our viewers what he said.
That day was the final straw. I asked myself, what in the world would I tell my grandchildren when they asked one day what happened and what did I do about it? I'm still a conservative, but I'm one whose values about decency, civility, and compassion I just don't see in my party anymore. I haven't changed. My party has.
What's your reaction to that? Your own nephew doesn't see a place for himself in your party anymore.
Well, it saddens me, and it's certainly a warning sign to us that there's many out there that would like to see a more civil dialogue. And so I have tremendous respect for his what he announced or what he's thinking there. But he's been a big part of lowering taxes in Arkansas. He's been a great partner with me. But he has said, I'm going to start as an independent. And I tell him, and I believe it in my heart, I fought for 40 years for a conservative Republican Party. And sure, we have personalities that come and go, but we stick to our principles. That's a good future. And that's where I am, right with the party, trying to build it for the future on a conservative basis. But also, we're trying to accomplish the same thing in a more civil dialogue, being able to reach across the aisle, to be able to work with each other. And that's what I really think the American public wants versus driving that wedge. So it saddens me, but at the same time, I respect his decision. We're going to work for a mutual goal, but in different ways, I'll be working within the Republican Party.
Well, you told my colleague Aaron Burnett that Trump can't define the party moving forward. But the fact is, he does define it right now, to the point that people like your nephew feel they have no choice but to leave. The former president is speaking at CPAC. He's encouraging primary challenges against fellow Republicans who don't embrace him. So has Trump succeeded in taking down the Republican Party as you know it?
Well, he will only define our party if we let him define our party. And that's one of the reasons that my voice is important. Others' voice is important in this debate. And I think it's fine for CPAC to invite former President Trump to speak. But how about the other voices? Senator Cassidy from Louisiana, those that have different points of view, still arch conservatives, but a different voice for the future of our party. And so that's what we've got to embrace. He has a loud megaphone, but we have to have many different voices. And in my view, we can't let him define us for the future, because that would just further divide our country and it would hurt our Republican Party.
The former president is teasing a run again in 2024. Would you ever support him again?
No, I wouldn't. It's time. And he's got a good family. I've worked with Ivanka and others, and they love America, but I would not support him for re-election in 2024. He's going to have a voice, but as former presidents do, but there's many voices in the party, and again, he should not define our future. We've got to define it for ourselves, and that has to be based upon the principles that really gave us the strength in America. We've got to respond to the people that like Trump. We've got to respond and identify with the issues that gave him the first election and gave him support throughout his presidency. There's the one that we have to reach out to, but it's based upon conservative principles and reaching out to those blue-collar voters that are so important, that identified with him because he was fighting for them. And we've got to take that message, but we just got to handle it in a different way with different personalities.
Governor, before I let you go, I want to ask about New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who was under fire amid revelations his administration underreported the extent of coronavirus deaths among nursing home residents in New York. Legislators there from both parties are moving to strip him of emergency powers. He's the chair of the National Governors Association. You are the vice chair. Do you believe he should be held accountable for his actions?
Well, every governor should be held accountable for their actions. And so as a fellow governor, I'm not going to start criticizing other governors for what's happening in their state. We are accountable. I do think it's important whenever you're looking at the nursing home deaths that they're properly accounted for, that we're transparent with the American people, even though it might make us look bad in terms of what's happening in our state. Transparency from day one has been critically important in giving people confidence as we go through this terrible pandemic.
Governor, thank you so much for your time this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to be with you.